More on the impact this is going to have on the future of Mexico's energy industry. Carl Larry joins us once again, president of Oil Outlooks and Opinions from Houston. Good to see you, Carl. We've talked about this before, and I think a lot of the questions that we've tried to analyze is, where are the deals? The reforms are in place. They voted to say yes. It's all a big historic moment. That's great. Where are the deals?
Well, you know, when you look at the stability of Mexico, I mean, it's not in Iraq or not Iran. It's not the Middle East at all. It's not Africa. It's not even Russia at this point. So the deals here come with that security that you know that when you go and invest, when you go and put your money into this with Mexico, it's a very good chance that you're going to be getting a lot more back. And I think that's where it starts. So the offshore, the shale, there's a lot out there, and it really is going to benefit not only Mexico, but the people who are going to invest in there also. There's
a lot of drilling to be done. Who's in line to get potential deals? Is it China? Is it India? Is it the U.S.? Is it other companies in Europe? Who's in the front of the line?
Well, you know, I think it's going to be a rush to the door. I think that the U.S. obviously has a little bit of edge there because we do a lot of business with Mexico. But I think that it's going to be an opportunistic area where many other countries can jump in. I think China has a really good chance here because they see the opportunities here. It's North America, and there's low risk. Again, that's the big thing here. You're putting money in without having to worry about a lot of issues like a military action or sabotage. So I think that's where it comes in. But I do say America and China, I think, are probably your two best bets.
I mean, I hate to put a negative spin on this, but why haven't we seen a deal yet? And perhaps the other question to this is, when do you think we'll see some deals?
Well, I think they're going to be coming in the pipeline. I think within the next year we'll see some major things, if not even sooner, maybe the next 6 months. But I think the reason that they haven't is because they had a lot of faith that they could do this themselves. And I think that especially the way their production has declined over the past few years, and they're missing out on all these 100-hour barrels of oil and these $3 gasoline. I think they realize that they need to get in the game and get back on track. So I think they're looking for this money, not only for themselves, but to keep that production up.
When you think about oil prices, they spiked up on the tensions over in Iraq. They've come back down recently, but does that have an impact on what could happen or in terms of specifically in Mexico?
Well, I think so. I mean, like I said, the oil prices I think are stable now. I think that around the $100 mark is a good area right now. I think those prices can only go higher as the economies improve. We're seeing economic recovery in China. We're seeing economic recovery in the U.S., albeit slow, but it's still strong and going forward. Agree to Europe and even Russia are having their own issues right now. But for the majority of the biggest oil consumers here in the world, China and U.S. and then Japan, we're seeing steady growth in those economies. So I think that this is an opportunity for Mexico to strike while the iron's hot.
If I'm in Mexico City or I'm somewhere in Mexico and I'm watching this, I'm thinking to myself, why should I care about this? How am I impacted in Mexico? What does this mean for consumers?
Oh, I think it means lower prices for consumers. But what it does mean that something that's going to be very interesting is that we've seen this here in the U.S. is that oil production, as it grows, as they start putting more money in developing those oil fields, you're going to see a lot more jobs. You're going to see a lot more money invested in the communities around those oil projects. And eventually that'll stabilize that economy and probably bring it up a few notches. And so that's what I think the people in Mexico have to look forward to. I think, again, for people who are investing money, though, it's a great opportunity here to get in now.
And of course, the rest of Latin America, they're also looking for foreign investment, especially when it comes to energy needs. So in some ways, Mexico is also competing with its neighbors as well for the same amount of a pool. So what makes Mexico unique compared to its other neighbors, whether it's Brazil or Venezuela or any other country in Latin America?
Well, those reserves, at least the proven reserves they've had, let's say in the Gulf, it's around 12 billion barrels. But what really makes it interesting is that the shale formations in Mexico looking to, some people think as high as 13 billion barrels in those shale areas. And that's one thing Mexico has above a lot of these other Latin American countries. And again, the technology's there, whether it's from Asia and China or America, developing those shale projects are going to be big. And I think that's where they get the advantage.
All right, certainly a big story that we will continue to follow. I know you will as well. Carl Larry, good to see you, President of Oil Outlooks and Opinions, joining us from Houston. Thank you.